to Hudson Valley Knits. I am Amy, and this is episode 58, Vogue Knitting Live. I will be doing this in two parts just to make them smaller for you. The first part will be Vogue Knitting. The first part I'm going to start off with some announcements. And then I'm going to tell you who won the prizes for the 2015 goals contest that I closed out recently. And after that, I'll show you just my two whips. Other than that, no finished objects, no other whips. I'm trying to keep it contained, the amount of projects I'm working on. And then I'm going to talk about Friday at Vogue Knitting Live. And like I said, there's so much to talk about, to show you. I hope you don't mind looking at all the new stash enhancement. I know some people don't enjoy that, but I'll save that for the end. So if you don't want to see all the stuff I bought, you don't have to. But I'll start off by talking about the classes and the people I talked to and the things Sandy and I did. So I hope you enjoy that. The second part will be mostly Saturday and Sunday at Vogue Knitting Live. I'll talk about my Fair Isle class with Mary Jane Mucklestone, and Sunday browsing the marketplace again and some of the great conversations I had with the folks from Wool Week from the Shetland Islands. It was just wonderful. Just so much to talk about and share. So we'll be in two parts, and they'll both probably be rather long, but I'm going to make sure they're under 45 minutes so that people don't have a huge issue downloading or streaming them. So anyway, I hope that helps. Oh, so much to talk about. All right, so the announcements. I wanted to just mention real quick that I have a thread in my Ravelry group, Hudson Valley Knits Ravelry group. Just for the heck of it, I did this last year. I am offering a free tarot reader to one winner. If you're into that and you're interested in receiving a tarot reading from me, it's something else I do a lot of and I really enjoy. I've been doing it for a long time. And if you would like a tarot reading, please see the thread on my group. I'm pulling a winner at the end of the month. So just wanted to mention that. I forgot to mention it last time. So it's been up since the beginning of the year, but it'll be up till the end of January. I also wanted to tell you how excited I am to see how many people are putting their goals up for 2016. I put mine up as like a project page where I listed on the project page all the things I wanted to do this year. I got that idea from Stacy at Mustache Yarns and the Mustache Podcast, and it worked great for me last year. Kind of kept everything fresh and made it easy to kind of find and remind myself what my goals were. Having a nice latte I made myself here. I have an espresso machine. The one thing I missed over the weekend was good coffee because all they had there was Starbucks coffee and it was yucky. So I'm enjoying this. Let's get right to the winners, okay? So I have the prizes here. And I'm real excited. These are the winners for the 2015 goals contest. And I'm hopefully, with some donations or maybe, something for my own stash this year. I'll have some good prizes next year. But here are the winners. Okay, so the first thing I drew a number for was for the Finley, which is from the Juniper Moon Farm. It's a lace weight. It's beautiful, soft, 798 yards. The color is Frog's Back. It's 50% merino and 50% silk. Beautiful colors in there. Greens, lavenders, light blues. This looks very purple. I don't know why. It's not a lot of purple. It's more green than purple. But anyway, the winner of this is PWAZ518, who is Paula. It was post 28, which she posted a picture of her Yowza shawl. So congratulations, Paula. Please PM me with your address and I will get this out to you. Next drawing was for the Mongolian cashmere. And for that I drew post 118. TK Eclectic, or Tammy, you won this beautiful skein of 100% cashmere lace weight yarn. It is more of a green, that's kind of captures it well. It's a greenish blue, or teal rather. The colorway is called Blue Spruce, but it looks more like a greenish teal to me. And please PM me, and I will send this skein to you along with gifting you a copy of this pattern, which you can use to knit this with this yarn. It's originally what I got the pattern for, and this is the yarn it calls for. 400 yards, is it enough? Yes, 400 yards. So this is enough to knit this shawl, and I'll gift you the pattern. Since I can't give you my own. And then finally, the last prize, I drew the number 91. Post 91 is Maria Wilhelmina. Congratulations. Her name is Mariette, and she won this beautiful Yasmin yarn from Miss Babs. It's 1,200 yards. 1,250 yards of 80% merino and 20% tussar silk in a beautiful, beautiful red. So ladies, please PM me your addresses, and I look forward to getting these treats out to you. Thank you everyone who participated. It was real fun, and I'm looking forward to doing it again in 2016. Okay. So let me show you what I've been working on the past 2 weeks. I don't have a lot of different projects on the needle, so I had finished a lot because of Christmas. And I decided to not cast on anything too heavy because I knew I would be doing this design along with Shirley Patton, which is supposed to start today, but I haven't gotten the first set of instructions yet. I think today we're supposed to get a copy of the stitch patterns that we can choose from for our design, and instructions on kind of deciding the nature of the design, and which is the first step in her book, Knitwear Design, which is what we're celebrating, her Knitwear Design Workshop book publication anniversary. So I wanted to keep, because of that, I wanted to keep it light because I know once this design along starts, I'll be focusing a lot of time and energy on that project. So I decided to participate in the Rainbow Along. I've also put these projects up in the Moms with Yarn Ravelry group, which is doing another knit along, which is knitting for yourself. I forget exactly what they call it. But those projects are due to be finished by the end of this month, and I don't think I'll finish either one of mine by the end of this month. But if I do, I'll put it in theirs, and I won't be able to put it in the Rainbow Along because that ends in February, but I guess it just depends on when I finish it. So the first project I am knitting with the Highland Handmaids Fruju colorway. It's all rainbowy goodness, neon rainbowy. It's a lot brighter in the screen here than what it is in real life. The main color, or the background color, is really a lighter gray than what you're seeing. Let me see what happens if I get a little closer. It still kind of looks like a blue, but it's really not. It's gray. Here's the gray right here. That is kind of like the base color. And then you get splashes of rainbow here, right? I love it. So anyway, I'm knitting it up in a pattern by Hedgehog Fibers. And I think it's, oh, I forgot the name of it. Isn't that terrible? I forget the name of the pattern. Let me see, I had it on last week. Did I write it down last week? I don't think I did. I didn't. Anyway, it's a broken ribbed pattern, and I love how it's kind of breaking up the colors. And I am almost done with the leg of the first sock. Again, I doubt very much I'll finish these in this month, especially once I start working on the design along. But this has been really fun to knit up, and it just keeps it interesting, a little bit of a stitch pattern. And secondly, another rainbow project, and I actually almost cast on a third, but I decided not to. The second rainbow project is, it's called Yarn Tamer, and this one is a beautiful huge cowl that I am knitting up in Lily Men Fiber Arts OMG Squee colorway, which is all beautiful tones of rainbow colors. And then the taming color is this Oh Snap Out of It by Plucky Knitter. It's her Plucky Feet. And it's a beautiful gray. Here it looks blue. Again, it's not blue, it's gray. It kind of looks better back here. A little darker than my gray shirt. But here it is. I've knit a lot of this. I think I only had kind of the ribbing down here done. And thank you, by the way, for all of you that gave me tips on how to keep the two working yarns kind of tame or in order. And it just seems to have worked itself out as I got further into the cowl and they stopped tangling up with the, here it is from a distance. So it did work itself out once I got going on the scarf. And see how it's kind of turning out. So one section you kind of focus more and use more of the rainbow color, and on the other section you use more of the background color or the gray, and it kind of changes how the cowl appears. I really, really love this. The colors are just beautiful, and I can't wait to wear it. So that is this. I'm knitting this on my Haya interchangeable US size 3 or 3.25 millimeters. So those are my two projects. Really love this. I highly recommend her whole ebook, which is called Knit Play Color. It has got so many great ideas for using your really colorful variegated yarns and making beautiful projects with them. Usually quite simple and easy to do. Now, the reason I was going to start a third project is because I'm trying to knit one, at least one woolly wormhead hat a month. So I was going to use another skein of rainbow yarn to knit another woolly wormhead hat for this month, and I still might do it. I have it all balled up. It's from On the Round. Actually, excuse me, I'll pull it out here. I'm just swatching right now, just to see how it looked in garter stitch, because the hat is mostly garter stitch. But here's how it looks knit up. Isn't it gorgeous? It's called At the Fair. Is it At the Fair? Country Fair by On the Round. 3-ply worsted spun fingering weight yarn. So I'm debating on, do I want to make this a hat or socks? Because and I just don't know yet. I'm not sure what I want to do with it. So I like I said, I swatched it up, and I honestly don't know if this is the yarn I want to use for the hat. Mostly because the color is too, I want to say muted. just too pale. It's not pale. I don't know if it's the kind of colors I'd want to be wearing in a hat. That's all. So just playing around with it, just swatching, just to see how it looks knit up right now. Maybe socks, maybe a hat. But I do have to knit a hat this month for Woolly Wormhead. Okay, with that. So that's it. Now we get into Vogue Knitting Live. So I'm going to just chat for a while. I'm going to show the stash enhancements at the end because I know some people don't really watch knitting podcasts just to see tons of yarn that people are buying. So I'm going to talk to you first. Let me see my notes, make sure I don't miss anything. First about the belt class. So I started off, we got up real early Friday. I took Friday off, and Sandy, my friend Sandy and I drove down together to the city. We could have taken the train, but we just, we knew we might have a lot of stuff, and it's kind of, depending on the weather, it's kind of not fun to get from Times Square to Grand Central on a train, and then Friday is a commuter day, so going down, by the time the train gets to Croton Harmon, which is where we would get on, it's usually pretty full. So we would be kind of iffy if we would get seats, and then, we'd have all this luggage with us. And the cost difference between paying for parking and taking the train, a round-trip train, the difference was minimal if you considered both of our tickets. So we decided to drive down there and pay for 3 days of parking, which turned out to be like $126. Not too bad. It would have been $80 for both of us to have round-trip train tickets. So, and plus we'd have to take a subway from Grand Central to Times Square, which actually I think that's free, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure. I haven't done it in a while. Either way, we got there. I got up at 5 a.m. I got to her house by 5:30. And I stopped first actually to get some breakfast at Dunkin' Donuts. Just something. I needed coffee and I needed something to eat. So we got there at around, I didn't know what traffic would be like because it was it was Friday and I would be going down the West Side Highway. So we got there early, around 7, I want to say. We got to the hotel. Now, I was totally expecting to have to check our luggage in because we can't check in until like 3 o'clock, but they had a room ready. So we were able to go right up to our room, which was really nice, and we both took a little nap. And I was able to feel nice and refreshed in time for my class at 9 o'clock. The class I took was by June Hyatt. If you're not familiar with the name June Hyatt, actually I should have pulled this book down. I hope you don't mind if I stand up. Hold on. I hope my books don't fall over. June Hyatt wrote The Principles of Knitting. I had the first edition of this book, and one of the reasons I took this class, there's 2 reasons I took this class. One is I'm really interested in knitting with a knitting belt. And I'll talk about that in a minute. The other reason is this book, I've been knitting all my life, not so as much before as I do now, but because I was a very busy woman. I was going to school, having kids, all that stuff. But when I was knitting, I used to have my grandmother around to help me. And so I would just, if I wanted something, I would knit it because I knew if I had problems, I could always go to my grandmother. The problem is Grandma, even when she taught me to knit, wouldn't teach me how to read my knitting or fix things. So if I had problems, I would bring it to her, and instead of saying, oh, see what you did here, and this is what we're going to do to fix it, she would just say, oh, let me see it, and she would fix it. She goes, here you go, it's fine now. And like if I didn't know how to shape something, and back then you had line by line instructions, and you would get things like reverse shaping for left sleeve hole, for left armhole, and I'd be like, and she would tell me exactly what to do. So when Grandma passed away, when my daughter Rachel was barely a year old, she passed away actually. And that would be like 22 years ago now. I was lost without her. I mean, obviously I missed her terrible because I loved her, but I was lost knitting wise. So one day I was at my sister's house and she had this book, the first edition, on her shelf. And I'm like, Kim, I need to borrow this book because I was in the middle of knitting a cable sweater with no charts. Back then the patterns weren't written with charts. And I was stuck. I didn't know how to like do the hood. I didn't know how to shape. And when it said decreases, I didn't know what that meant. So she's like, yeah, take it. So I took it and I never gave it back to her because it was so invaluable. So when I learned that this woman who had so much knowledge about knitting was teaching any class, I really wanted to take it. I really would have been happy with any of the classes she taught over the weekend. But I also have always been intrigued with belt knitting. And the reason why is when I was a kid and Grandma taught me on regular straight needles with, the tip on one end, not DPNs, but the tip on one end and the end on the other. What I would do is I would stick it between my legs, one needle between my legs, and the other needle I would wrap with the right hand and the other needle would go like this. And it's kind of the same principle with the knitting belt, except instead of having it between your legs, it would be stuck into the belt. So a few years ago, I bought this belt. I'm not going to tell you the vendor. It was an Etsy shop. I think I still have the receipt somewhere. The whole thing was shipping. The shipping was super expensive. I bought 2 sets of needle and the belt, and it was like $50. But the belt alone, without the shipping, was $35. So I bought this belt, and I tried to figure it out. And there is a section in here about knitting with a belt. And it just wasn't working because this wasn't staying in place. I would wrap it around me. And I bought the extension because I have a big belly. And it came with an extension, what was helpful. But the problem was, if you see the back, you see how it's curved? It was just rocking all over the place. And then it would, I have a belly. And it would I would have it at my hip and it would kind of slide up over my belly. And then it would be sitting on top of my belly in my waist, which is much smaller than my hips where I'd arranged the belt. So now the belt is moving all around. And honestly, the needles I bought with this that the same vendor sold were not that great. I'm not sure if it's filled with horsehair or not. I'm really not 100% sure. I don't remember. I'd have to check the receipt if I find it. And the leather is okay, but not that great. But for wanting to try it out, it was, I think, the right thing to do because you don't want to make a huge investment if you're not going to enjoy a technique. So that's why I bought this. And I tried it for a little while and I never touched it again. But I saw she was teaching the belt class and I'm like, let me take a class with June Hyatt and give this one last shot. And I brought the belt with me. But apparently her son makes belts and they sell them on her website. And he brought enough for everyone in the class to either buy one or just try one out. And I figured I might as well try one out, right? I had the opportunity to. So first I tried with this, and again I was doing the same what I just described. Then I asked Jesse, her son, if he would fit me with one of his, I think he called them his B-rated belts. So they were belts that were not 100% up to the quality, the standards that he would sell. But he brought them with him for people that just wanted to try the belts, but didn't necessarily want to purchase one. So here is the belts that her son Jesse makes. And if you look at the back, see, remember how the other belt had a mound that went like this? This one is curved, and it curves perfectly against my hip. Now this side faces towards my belly button, and this side faces towards my back. And then each belt comes with this to this. And then you can buy a strap, small, medium, or large, that you hook up here and attach to make it the right length. And it has, for me, the large had a lot of flexibility, so that if I gain gain weight and a few more inches, I can adjust this to fit. And if I lose weight, I can tighten it. So I have a little flexibility. And if I ever lose so much weight that I need a medium, I can order it. So it's really, the leather is really thick. And I put this on, and he fit me for it, and he showed me how to put it on right. And I put the needle in, and you have to kind of play around to find where you want your needle, to have it so that it's right center in front of you and at a height where your shoulders are relaxed. Maybe I'll try and do a separate video where you can see me actually using it. I'm not going to put it on now, but I put this on, and it was night and day. It really made all the difference. I was able to pick it up right away, and I loved it. And I bought one, a brand new one. He wouldn't sell me one of his cheaper ones because it's not the quality he wants his belts known for, so he wouldn't sell those to anyone. They were just there if you wanted to try it. The workmanship is impeccable. They're guaranteed for life. If there are any problems, you just get in touch with them and they'll address it. So this is what I knit in the class. It's Jamison DK, and it's a little tight, mostly because I was knitting a little tighter, especially at first. But I was using the only set I had, which was of DPNs long enough, which was a size 3 US, which I believe is 4 millimeters. I don't remember. I'm not good with that. Where's I don't see my thing here. But anyway, size 3 US, where this should have been probably knit with a 4 or even a 5. But you can see how consistent it is and how great the stitch definition is. It was so much more comfortable, except my left hand the left hand, which is doing a lot of work. I found myself squeezing it really hard, and I had to keep reminding myself to relax my left hand because it did cramp up a little bit. But I think as I get used to it, it will relax more. With the belt, she gave us a full set of needles. Get those out. Which they order specially, I think she said they get them from Canada. But we got their 12-inch DPNs, and they're 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, and 4 millimeter sizes. And I think 4 millimeter is US 6. And so these came with it. Usually they charge for these, but anyone that bought a belt in the class got a free set of needles, which was very nice. And the belt was $150, and obviously they didn't have to charge us shipping. So I took advantage of the great deal, and I bought the belt. If you're into this traditional knitting and you want to give it a try, you know what, I'm gonna, if anybody's interested, I will sell this belt, and you can get needles from June's website. If you want to try it, I recommend starting with something cheap like this. I would sell this for like $20, which is a lot less than what I bought it for. And just so you could give it a try to see if it's something you think you'd like. But don't make your decision based on how this feels. If you buy the right belt, it will make all the difference. But it's a big investment, so you have to really be into traditional styles of knitting. But oh my gosh, it was so easier. Now here's what's really exciting. June was an exceptional teacher. She's so knowledgeable. She was so great at explaining it. She had great visuals. Um, she also had 2 guests from Shetland. One is Hazel Tyndall, and I don't know if you recognize that name. She's the fastest knitter in the world, and she knits on a knitting belt. And the other woman was Wilma Malcolmson, I think is the last name, Malcolmson. They were so delightful. They both walked around and helped people. And Hazel Tyndall actually came to me and showed me how she knits Fair Isle with both hands. June was only teaching us one-handed knitting with the right hand and how to do it without, lifting your hand and wrapping, but holding it. You're kind of perched on the right needle. And all you do, this is the needle that's in the belt. All you do is you kind of like have your fingers perched here and you're wrapping your yarn like this. And then easing it down with the other hand like this. And then this hand, I actually have stuff on my needles. I was practicing last night during Downton Abbey. This hand just kind of goes like this, up and over the knitting. Now, I am going to, I got permission. I asked them before I recorded it, and they were fine with it, but I have, in regular speed and in slow motion, I have Wilma and Hazel both knitting with their belts. So you can see how they wrap their yarn, okay, and hold their yarn and everything. I'm going to put those separate on YouTube. Depending on the length of this one, which is already a half an hour, I might put it on a little clip on the end of this, but we're kind of running out of time. So this was my favorite. This was my favorite year of classes ever with any knitting event. Between this and the Fair Isle class, I was just so happy. It was so fun. I learned so much. They were both things I was passionate about, and they kind of coincide because the Fair Isle knitters use the belt. And I just can't wait to use this more. My only thing that I'm kind of sad about is the limited range of needles sizes. Like, I can't knit a sweater with this because, an Aran weight sweater, I would need size 7 or 8 needles, and they don't go up that high for the belt. And the smell is beautiful. This is really, really worth every penny. I highly recommend it. If you're even interested, if you're not, I bet you could get your money back because it's just that great quality of a belt. So, loved this. I'm so happy. She gave me this too for my book. A signed little thing that I can put in the book, which I was super happy about. I'm going to put it in there now and I can fix that later. And it came in a little pouch for your belt. Right, a little linen pouch, which was very nice. I'm just like pleased as punch. I can't tell you. I was so glad I took that class. I kind of went back and forth because she's taught a gauge class that I wanted to take, but that was coincided with the Fair Isle class, and I just and then the belt class was Friday morning, and that meant I would have to use a vacation day, and I would have to be in the city super early, and I didn't know if I wanted to do that, and I just decided to take the chance and do it. And I'm so glad I did. So that is my Friday class. After my class, Sandy and I went to a falafel place for lunch right down the road. It was fantastic. It was kind of like it had a line almost like a Subway does, where you order it either on a hummus in a pita or it was on a salad, and you get falafels, and then you can add whatever toppings you want, and then it had a bar you could sit down on and eat your lunch. So that's what we did. It was really convenient. There was no big crowd, and we didn't have to wait for a table, and it was affordable. It's really cold in my room today. Then in the afternoon, Sandy had a class, and I sat in the room and played with my knitting belt all afternoon. And I took a little nap. And then when she got out of her class, it was time for the marketplace to open. Now, it was nice and quiet on Friday night, so that was the main shopping time for me was Friday. Vendors have their full inventory. There's not a lot of crowds, and you can really take your time. It was enough time to get through both floors in fairly good amount of time. So the first place I stopped was on the way into the vending area. There was a vendor that I remembered from Rhinebeck that Amy Beth had talked about. And when I heard Amy Beth talking about it, it made me wish that I had seen this vendor at Rhinebeck because I thought it would be fun to try. I also think it would be a great gift to use for the senior love along this year because I'm allowing like little gifts, any handcrafted gift. So it is Going Gnome. That's her chest set, felted chest set. She charges $6,500 for a felted chest set. Anyway, I bought a kit to make. It's getting dark in here. Oh boy. Her gnomes. It's glare. Let me see if I can pull this out. This is enough to make 6 mini gnomes. Let me see if I can get this out. And she said it takes about an hour to make one gnome. And the instructions are in here. They're adorable. And I just figured I'd give it a try. And I bought, of course, a styrofoam poking board or whatever it is. But that was my first thing, and I'm excited to give this a try. This will be great if I have, just a short period of time and I want to try something new. This is perfect. So I got that. And then we went through the marketplace. I had bought stuff from this woman last year, shawl pins, only $22. Beautifully made shawl pins. I bought 2 more to add to my collection. These are a little smaller than the ones I bought last year because I found the ones from last year kind of weighed down the shawl. It was much bigger, and so I only use that now for thicker, heavier weight shawls, like made with worsted weight yarn, and these are more appealing for my more delicate fingering weight shawls. So I got 2 more of these. I also have a vendor that I love that I've bought this yarn bowl from in last year at Vogue Knitting Live. It's gorgeous. It's so beautifully crafted. I don't need another yarn bowl, but I did check them out, and I bought some buttons because when I make another Fair Isle cowl, I think I will use these buttons on it. Just 4 wooden buttons. They were like $3 each. They're all a little different. They're not perfectly all the same, but that's kind of what makes them kind of really special. But they're all basically around the same size. And they're just beautiful. I love them. So I got 4 of these, and that guy's name is, and he goes to Rhinebeck and he goes to Vogue Knitting Live in New York City. I'm not sure what else he goes to, but here's his card. Dan Tracy Designs. The website is dantracydesigns.com. Let's see if I can. He's in Cortland, New York, which is upstate a little bit. Anyway, it is blustery windy out. Wow. So that I got. Those were my 2 favorite vendors. I stopped at Jill Draper to see if she had a sweater's worth of Rockland in a nice dark chestnutty brown, and she didn't. It was a long shot, but her Rockland, that's the marled yarn, is perfect for a nice DK weight sweater. So I was a little sad that I couldn't get that, but it's all right. I stopped at Dragonfly Fibers, one of my favorite dyers. I love her colors. She had a special color for Vogue Knitting Live. and I am head over heels in love with this color. It's got blues and greens and like a beautiful mapley brown, and it reminds me of beautiful water. Like this reminds me of the water. I know it's not very New York like, but it reminds me of the water and the stones along Lake Tahoe. So anyway, I bought a skein of this in her sock yarn. It's going to go into a shawl because it's too beautiful to be on my feet. And this is like one of my favorite purchases. Then I stopped at Knit Circus, which is another one of my vendors I was most looking forward to seeing. And I got this. This is the Hummingbird colorway, which I've always loved and admired. It's got like purple and blues and like a blue-green and then this beautiful mossy green. This is a worsted weight. It's 345 yards or 5 1/4 ounces. It's superwash merino, cashmere, and nylon. And I bought this to make a really nice sized, warm, cushy shawl with. And I just love it. And I don't know what I'm going to knit, but I have a large skein of hers in the, I forget what colorway it is. I forget, but it's fingering weight, and this is worsted weight. So I'll have a nice thinner shawl, and this is a nice worsted weight. So I got that, and then the last thing I got Friday evening was there was a vendor from a farm. I meant to look this up. A Dream Come True farm in Oxford, Connecticut. She has an Etsy shop called pamsfiber.etsy.com, and she has pamsfiber.blogspot.com. And she had a beautiful selection of cord spun and just really art kind of yarn, art hand spun. But she was also selling these samples of fiber, part Angora. She calls it Pygora, and she explained it to me that it's a mix of Angora goat and something else, and I can't for the life of me remember what the other breed is that this is mixed with. And this is a mixed breed, not a mixed fiber. So I bought an ounce of this to try spinning with. It's a beautiful silvery gray, and it's so soft, and it's kind of like a bat. And I think I will spindle spin this. This makes me wish that Maria was doing her new to me fiber challenge thing. Remember Rhymes with Maria Malia, who did the barn raising podcast? She's kind of been out of the podcasting loop for a while. What is that? But I'm really I'm extremely excited about spinning this up and seeing how it comes out. So that's it for Friday. That's all the stash. We're at 43 minutes. I will see about maybe editing in a little video at the end and some pictures. Thank you so much. And part 2 will be recorded right away, so you can download it anytime. And ciao for now.
You're kind of in between. You can try either one, but in terms of just trying the technique, I think you're set up, unless you want to go further architecture. And this is the size you're looking for? Okay, you're all set.
So every finger has its purpose.
I'm recording.
to